Woohoo! Welcome to the final recording of Secret Spice for 2020, here with Cinnamon Alvarez and Dominic Syracuse. He's so many
Hey,
things: comedian, YouTuber, CEO of cognitive behavioral therapy. Today, together, you get to see us live wrapping up the year of 2020, lessons learned and creating what you'll hear right away, resolving. We're making our New Year's resolutions, but we're not fixing anything because we're not broken. Right, Dominic?
yeah,
We're not broken. Even if we have cold sores from stress and restless nights from stress and
that's
all this
right.
other stuff, it's the real deal, right? So 2020, sum it up. How would you explain the year? What
Here's
did you
here's the
learn?
thing. I I have to say that I read a meme the other day that was kind of funny. It said I remember everybody at the beginning of 2020 was talking about how this is going to be my year. This is going to be my year. This is going to be my year. And then it became, all of a sudden everyone was talking about, the apocalypse. They were just like, this is crazy. Ah. But I heard a thing that said, 2020 was the year we thought we were going to get all the things we wanted, but it became the year we appreciated everything we had.
Mm,
And I like that a lot. I think that's, as far as if you're going to put something in a nice little bow, I think that makes a fantastic soundbite. Honestly, for me, I feel like 2020 has been a year that's made me so strong and resilient, because when I look back, as far as the moves I've made in my career, and also just on a purely monetary level, this has been the most successful year of my life, and I've been able to do it in a pandemic, doing live comedy and
amazing.
things like that. And it wasn't because of just kind of saying, you know, F the system, I'm going to do what I want or whatever. It was really looking at the struggles that the year presented and saying, okay, how do I still make my goals happen despite that? Right? How do
Hmm.
I still make my goals happen? You know,
How do you
um,
overcome the hurdle? It's like you turn the obstacle into an opportunity.
absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
key to success in business, the pivot. I had a similar, I this was the year of pivoting. 2019 was rougher for business. I think I shared with you, I thought after 20 years in business, I might lose a business, go
Right.
out of business financially.
Right.
Um, and so we pivoted, and I think I had my most profitable year this year.
Wow.
Mhm.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank you. Um,
That's amazing.
It totally amazing, right? So for me, it was a year of like, go back to be humbled, cry a little, and work your ass off.
Oh, I
That's
like
really how
that.
I did it. I worked hard,
Mm.
just work and work
Mm.
and work and dedication. And yeah. And
Yeah,
then wrapping
that's
up the year like, oh crap, there's money. What do we
yeah.
do
I
with
mean,
that?
right.
That's a
I was
different problem. It was also a year for me of like, realizing my complaints are pretty petty. Like I have
yeah,
first world problems.
yeah, yeah. That's
You know,
that's that's a huge that's a huge realization.
yeah. So like my Christmas Eve was pretty like perfect for the movie,
Right.
where you have that like that happy sad feeling, and it's like, oh, I've been away from my husband, quarantined because we have a COVID scare in our household, and I haven't seen him, and I haven't hugged my mom, and it was like that heartfelt of, and like looking out at like, oh, but my mom. In fact, here's one of the stories that was really great. My brother is schizophrenic, homeless man,
Right.
and so my mom and I were thinking of a gift to give. And she's like, but what if he just gives it away right away? He doesn't want it. And I said, that's
Right.
fine. Like, it's the same as you would be giving a gift to any homeless man, right? We're going to
Right.
give him a gift, and we don't have conditions on what happens to it. And
Right.
so So then we got excited about like, well, what kind of homeless man gifts do we want to give? And my mom put all these little bags together, and she's like, we're sending something to your brother, and I'm going out on the street and I'm giving homeless people gifts. And so she had all these different weird, like some money and toothbrushes and care packages and socks and hats and thermals and different things, you know. And
That's
she said
wonderful.
the first person that she gave it to was like, this is a true story. He's like, fuck the universe. So she's like, I just gave a gift and I learned something really valuable. Fuck the universe. And so it was really that, like, remembering the build up, you know, on Christmas Eve, like, oh my God, I'm going to go see my husband got his negative test on Christmas Eve. I'm going to see him.
Oh, that's great.
And, you know, like, what do we have to be really thankful for?
Yeah.
And even still, even in the hard times, it was like, I have pretty much anything I want.
Yeah,
you know?
we are so much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. Human beings, just in general, are so much more resilient. And listen, I know this year has been hard. There are people who have lost loved ones, and discredit that absolutely
Loved
none.
ones
You
in
know,
comas, and yeah, it's just been a
right?
hard year,
There's
right?
there's there's been there's
Lost
been
businesses.
lost businesses, lost. I mean, you know, it's crazy. But you know what's funny? When I was a kid, maybe when I was 12 years old, the problems of the world kind of became apparent to me, and I started ruminating on them, and they would keep me up at night. Like, what if all these terrible things happen? And I remember thinking, like, you know, learning about the Great Depression and going, what if that happened again? Or learning about, you know, a big sickness that sweeps across the whole world. Like, what if that happened? And I get terrified of it. But the interesting thing is now those things have happened, you know, and in the midst of that, my year, I've performed musically with the Allman Brothers this year, which is something I never thought would be possible at all.
Mm-hmm.
I filmed and performed my first stand-up special in front of thousands of people. I got a girlfriend in the middle of a pandemic, you know, and I look back and I go, wow, this was the most successful year I've ever had. So rather than being fearful of it or fearful of something like this happening, the biggest thing that I've learned is that, you know, so long as there's any kind of opportunity for hope or creativity or anything like that, then there's nothing that can really hold you back.
Yeah, you know what you just reminded me of too is this was the year, like it's you kind of think like, well, why was this year when it was so tough and there was so much hardship, why was I so lucky, right?
Right.
Also, so I'm kind of scanning my life, looking at the common themes. This was the year that I was the most generous. Like I worked really, really hard. I've
Mm-hmm.
been humbled. Like I've seen some things. I also learned some things about myself I don't necessarily like, or that there's work to do. Like,
Yep.
for example, I thought I was pretty confident, like, oh yeah, I'm pretty middle of the road. I want everybody to love everyone. I can have, you know, there's all this polarization and I'm accepting and loving of everyone. And I
Right.
have friends on both sides. And then I got to see myself get really like angry and no, you know what?
Right.
I'm going to stick my feet down and I'm going to be a hater. I got to see those things. But I also was generous, like with myself, even like us connecting and doing this once a week, like just trusting, like, hey, this is somebody that excites me and we have something in common and I want to talk to them. And I
Right.
noticed, like, I joined SCORE as a volunteer and we led the most amazing business workshops. And that
Mm.
really came about because it was a bucket list item that I saw that I wanted to do maybe someday. And I
Yeah,
told myself, hey, if this is something you want to do in the future, why not just commit right now? And I
absolutely.
also have been serving on the workforce development board for our county. And I joined special populations, and I've been having the most amazing conversations with these two men that also have very different perspectives in the world, and they're giving generously, and
Hmm.
that's really valuable. And I think I'm getting nominated potentially to chair economic development
Oh, that's
committee
amazing.
for
Yeah,
the workforce development, which is a pretty prestigious volunteer position for me.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and so I think the common theme is that I've worked really hard and I've kept coming back from this place of I just want to give, I want to give, I want to give, and I want to be of service. And even in my
Hmm.
business with my lighting company, I think the success came from that also. Like most of my success, believe it or not, came from selling on Etsy
Oh,
and
wow.
interacting with the end user that was buying my product directly myself, and jumping
Yeah.
through hoops and answering at weird hours at different times, and being able to see what was the gift back to me was being able to see people excited about the work that I do. I think you get that
Mm.
experience too, right? Like when
Oh, yeah.
you're performing and people are acknowledging you and you just want to give them more and give them more.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because one of the things that I learned this year that I'm grateful for is that you just never know. You just can't expect. So I'm from this little town in Wyoming, and I moved away from that little town and I moved to Los Angeles because I said there's no opportunity for what I want to do in this little town. And um, and then I come back to the little town because of quarantine. This virus forces me out. And the funny thing is, all of a sudden, there's all this opportunity in this little town because the thing that made it so undesirable before is the fact that it's just a bunch of wide open space with, that's what made it desirable now
With no
for these.
competition, right?
Right,
What is
these
what
big.
is the famous quote of the is a red sea or a blue sea? What is
Yeah,
the
yeah, red ocean, blue
red
ocean,
ocean?
right? Red ocean, blue ocean. It's the bluest ocean. Well, that was great, but the coolest part, there was kind of something cool that I really valued and appreciated this year, which was when I got to start doing I created a comedy club in my hometown. And um, first of all, when I started, it was a pleasant surprise because it was just a small idea I had, like as a side hustle. I was
Like
like,
I
oh,
can do that.
yeah, I was like,
Right, that's what I
I
want
didn't,
you to tell us what the
yeah,
common themes or what you noticed, how they came about. Because that's
yeah,
what I noticed is
it
almost
was,
everything I created started with an idea of like, I could do that.
I could do that. Yeah, my idea was I went, hey, I got these comedy shows coming up. I need a place to practice. I was like, what if I just started an open mic night in town? There's no open mic nights, comedy open mics in any of the bars. And I was like, I'll go up to them, find out what their least busy day of the week is, and say, hey, if I brung a handful of comedians in here to practice, that's more business than you probably would have got anyway.
And they
How
said,
about we do
okay.
that?
And you
And
didn't
they were
get
like,
caught up in the, well, first I need this and I need that, but I need a
right,
microphone that's right. I need to, right. You just had the idea and
right.
we're like, let's do this. And then you
Yeah,
got committed.
it was like, let's go. So I went in and talked to them about it, and they said, yeah, great. There was a bar in town that was starting. They were just kind of starting out. They said we'd love that. And what what I didn't realize is the ocean is so blue, as in there's so little of it. By the first week, it was already a massive success. The capacity because of COVID was 50 people, and we had, you know, 25 comedians show up and want to dress. So we had half the capacity of just comedians. And then we have, the friends they brought, and it spiraled into success. And it spiraled so much that they're like, let's do a music night. Let's do this. Let's do that. But the coolest part was that because it was my own, I got to say, okay, I know there's a lot of people who've never tried comedy before. and it's their very first time. And I remember when I was starting out in comedy, all the horrible experiences that I had, as far as nobody accepting you, nobody encouraging you, it being really cutthroat. And I wanted to flip that on its head. And I just said, I want to make sure that all the people who are just starting out are in an environment that's supportive and nurturing and kind. And so that's the vibe. You know, before every show, we'd have a big meeting, and I would say, who's the new people? Raise your hand. Yes, give it up for these guys. Congratulations on just being brave, you know, and all this. And we got together and started rooting each other on, and said, no matter what, we're our biggest fans out there, so let's be supportive. Cool. And we do like a rally cry, and then we'd go and perform. And the funny thing is, in my little town, you know, there's bigger towns about 50, 60 miles away that growing up, you'd always have to go there to do something cool. Well, because of shutdowns, all of a sudden, the people who were doing comedy in those bigger cities started coming to us. So all of a sudden, I'm getting like people who've been doing comedy in the bigger cities for 10, 15 years coming into ours. And the biggest compliment I got of the year, I feel, is from one of the women who's run an open mic in Colorado and Denver for the last 10 years. And she said, this is the most loving environment I've ever seen for comedians. She's like, I'm coming up now, not even because I have to, but just because I want to. And she's like, I'm also bringing this style to, you know, the bigger cities, and I want to do that. And so that was really, really great. Just to kind of get that.
Congratulations.
Get that congratulations from a veteran, you know, from someone who's like, I've been doing this a long time.
No, I was telling you congratulations, Dominic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that was cool.
It's cool to see what you create just from the goodness of your heart, right? It's like, wow, yeah. I had an idea and I just wanted to do it. And look.
Right.
So for the sake of time, because I would love to celebrate all kinds of other things, I want to take some pretend credit for the girlfriend, because I remember the conversation of like, you know, there was none and not being open, and you put yourself, I should not take the credit. I should give you the credit for being willing to even entertain the idea and reach out and put yourself in some two different scary positions. Your date that was a bad date. Did you have your worst date ever? Your fastest worst date ever?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's pretty good.
It was funny because with this, it was just so different. Like I think like so many people, it's like kind of happens when you're not looking for it. But also, I was just doing the club and doing what I love and focusing on that. And you know, when you are on stage or something like that, or you are in a position of leadership, then you start getting a lot of attention and stuff. And I'm normally pretty good at fielding that, you know, people who are just interested in the attention or something like that. But it was just kind of this thing that happened out of nowhere. It was funny. It was actually somebody that I saw in the bar, and she wasn't even watching the comedy show. She just kind of came to the bar with friends. And I remember going, oh my gosh, I remember that girl. I used to have the biggest crush on her when I was 15 years old. And I was just like, that's crazy that she's still here in town and all this stuff. And anyway, I go back and finish the show. And then as I'm cleaning up, the owners of the bar, she was still there with some friends, and the owners of the bar were like, oh, do you know Dominic? And she was like, everybody knows Dominic, but she's like, I don't think he knows who I am. And I was like, yes, I do. This is your name, you know. And I kind of
the biggest crush. You didn't go with that.
Well, I ended up telling that after I just said no, I definitely remember and all this, and then I had to get going, but she ended up texting me just saying, hey, it was really cool running into you tonight. And I was like, yeah, when can I accidentally see you? I said, when can I accidentally run into you again? And she said, well, it doesn't have to be an accident. And so the funny thing is,
I was gonna say, that's a pretty good line.
Yeah.
Anybody listening, take that. That's something you can learn from 2020. Yeah. When can I accidentally run into you?
Yeah, I said, when can I accidentally run into you again? She said, it doesn't have to be an accident. and that was on a Thursday. We made a date for Wednesday. She's like, well, I'm free Wednesday, you know. And then the funny thing was um she she just casually like, you know, so what are your plans for the weekend? And I said, well, I got another show tonight. And she was like, oh, I was thinking about stopping by, because she's like, I don't have anything to do tonight. And I was like, definitely stop by. So she stops by, and it was there that I told her that I'd had a crush on her since we were kids. And we went up to the mezzanine, and it was just too perfect not to. There's Christmas lights all over the place, and it was just the two of us. So I ended up kissing her. And the funny thing was, I didn't realize that the people at the bar, this was after the show was over, I didn't realize the people at the bar knew about it, because after we had went down the stairs, everybody was at the bar and they all applauded us.
Cheering.
Yeah, it was really funny. and the thing was, is we ended up spending time with each other every single night up until our first date, which was that Wednesday. So by that time we had gone on like 5 or 6.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool. And then I kept telling her, she kept telling me about the bad experiences she's had in the past, and the bad guys that she's been with, and the luck that she hasn't been in. And I said, oh, I'm going to treat you so right. I'm going to do so good to you. Everything's going to be great. And then I gave her coronavirus about 4 days later.
Yeah.
But it was great. We got a quarantine together. Legally, we had to. So
you didn't tell me this part of the quarantine story earlier.
I know, and that's what actually made the quarantine. It was actually a fantastic quarantine. It was great. It was just
no wonder why you had such a positive attitude.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm stuck for 10 days, so we'll see you when we get out, I guess. So it was cool. It was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I want to move to the segment of what you're going to create for 2021. But first, I if you don't mind, just because a lot of people are like anti-New Year's resolutions, a lot of people like to create resolutions. Right. And so I already gave away that I don't necessarily like to take the I resolve approach.
Yeah.
But I do like to do this. I like to think of it as a closure period. Like 2020 is over and 2021 is fresh, like the fresh start. So if you were going to leave something behind in 2020, what would you leave behind? Like, I'm done with that.
That's a great question, Cinnamon. I think right off the bat, I'm going to leave, I really want to leave stepping stones behind, because it's funny. I was actually speaking with somebody. I was getting my mother for my birthday had gotten me a massage, and I was getting a massage, and I was talking to the person giving me a massage, and she had mentioned that she was just like, you know, it sounds to me like you put a lot of stepping stones in your way to your goals, you know. And she was like, I think you should just go directly for them.
That's cool.
And so looking back, I think she's totally right. I think that I just want to go directly for it.
That's cool. Yeah, stepping stones are a tripping hazard. Why not? Why not play big? It's an interesting concept too, of people thinking that they need to start small. Like my very first job, I had to make minimum wage, and it had to be hard. And then I met people later. I'm like, man, they just got jobs through connections and things. Why did I have to do it the hard way?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
I'm kind of asking myself the question, like, what do I want to leave behind? I've been a little bit negative in a few areas. Some complaining, some stress. Like, what do I want to be done with? Oh, something I mentioned to you before, there's been like a fear. Oh, I already did that. A fear of spending money.
Oh, yeah.
So big profits. So what I did is I didn't even do my due diligence, really. Like, usually I'm the kind of person I have to get at least 3 estimates before I make a decision. I hired someone, and we already got the ball rolling for January for marketing, online marketing, and taking the company to do direct sales. And it's probably the biggest chunk of money that I spent on that. So yeah, fear of spending money, specifically on marketing. That's a good one to leave behind.
Yeah.
What else do I want to leave? I'll leave the husband-wife circular conversation in the background. we had our fair share of like it's not like being super, like, have you ever had the time where you've been so excited whatever you were doing, and all of a sudden you got a phone call and you have a conversation, you're like, well, now I'm in a funk, like that wasn't fun. What happened to the fun? So my husband and I had a number of those this year. So I'll leave that behind. Just because I can, because I have a magic wand to do that.
Right. I know. I love that. You do. You can.
Why not, right? It's like, oh yeah, then we can say, remember when we used to do that? So what are you creating? What are you creating for 2021?
You know what? I'm, as cliche as it sounds, opportunity. I just see such a clear path to finally do exactly what I want without compromises or anything. I mean, I see that it's so possible, and not in the way it was before, where, you know, before it was a dream, which was like, oh, I dreamed to do this. Wouldn't it be great to do this? Now I've actually learned enough through understanding business, understanding how it works, and proving to myself that I have the ability. That was a big one too, because, you know, self-doubt is huge. Self-doubt is huge, and being in over your head is huge. And for the longest time, I was both of those things. You know, I wasn't sure I was good enough, and also I had no idea how business works at all. And now that I have a really strong grasp on both of those things, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that my stand-up, for instance, works, as in it makes people laugh, so it works. And now I also understand what clubs are looking for and how they're looking to make money, and, you know, what value I bring to the table. Now that I understand that, I go, yeah, I can totally do this. Not even out of a, I need to cheer myself up. I mean, logistically, I can totally make this happen. So that's what I'm, you know, extremely excited about running forward to and doing.
Cool. You just made me remember something else I wanted to give up, when you said not good enough, right? There's always something that we think we're not good enough. One of the things that was hanging over me was my writing. So I'm going to give up that I don't like to write, and that it takes me a long time, and that I have stress around writing, and like whatever.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to let it, I'm going to take one of the things I learned, maybe more in 2019, and kind of the half path, I'll take credit for it this year, was the concept of good enough. So I'm going to use that with regards to my writing. I worked with, so the last person that I was using for doing some marketing, we got to the quality of the work made me cringe. But what the best thing learned was that it was like, well, at least we're doing it.
Yeah, at least it's getting done.
Where before I was at a standstill and I wasn't doing it. Right. So I'm going to use that approach with my writing also, is that the way I know myself before to have been is like, I need to go out and reach and get some help, and I'm uncomfortable, and I get a little bit stressed, and it needs to be good, and it takes a lot of time, and I don't do things like publishing YouTube videos because I want to write descriptions or titles, and it takes so to be like, whatever. Literally. It is what I'm using the good enough approach. It's going to have whatever title is on it, and who cares.
And the funny part is, it's not like a book. You can change it later.
You can go back and edit it.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything really in my life, even my book. So I don't know if I want to commit to this in 2021, but I'll say it anyway. There's a part of me who wants to rewrite my book.
Really?
Yeah, Generating Your Own Happiness. I am happy with some parts of it, and there are other parts that I've learned a lot since I've written it, and I
Mm-hmm.
see the chance for a rewrite. So if I was going to be like really bold and not commit to anything, like there's a part of me that wants to get a master's degree from the
Oh,
Drucker
wow.
School of Business specifically.
From the where?
Drucker,
Oh, okay.
Claremont
Awesome.
College's Drucker School.
Awesome.
Have you heard of the Drucker Way?
I haven't, but I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
like a philosophy.
fantastic.
So an MBA. So there was a few years back where I knew I wanted to do it really more just to make myself feel good enough. And I was
Yes.
like, yeah, it's not smart money, but I can acknowledge that I feel inadequate in education. Right. Then it moved to writing, whatever it is. But now I see with the alignment with volunteering with SCORE and on the workforce development and economic development, I'm like, who am I? And I'm not really qualified. And am I the right person for that? And they're like, but
Right.
Cinnamon, you have 95% energy all the time. And so I could see this fit, and it put that back on my bucket list of things that I wanted.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So there's the conversation, of course, of like, oh, but how and where would I do that? I'm so busy. Ooh. I'm giving up being busy.
Whoo, that's a tough
That's a
one.
tough one.
That's
I
a tough
forgot that
one.
yeah. So
I
when you
love
hear
it.
me, you can kick me in the face. Be like, you're not
So
too busy.
so I wanna grab something really fast. Give me just a second. And I wanna
Okay.
I wanna kind of end with a story that happened to me 2 New Years ago that
Okay.
that genuinely changed my life forever. And I wanna uh, tell you about that and get that going. So give me just 1 second, okay?
Okay, cool.
All right.
I'm excited. A surprise gift. So while he's going for that, so that's so funny. I'm a little bit slow on, I'm noticing what I want to give up. So what do I want to create? I want to create a record level with my business for sure. And I want things within my community in our county and other businesses. I want to see people do things that are phenomenal for themselves and their businesses. I want to see, one of the things I want to work through workforce development is I want to see businesses take on special population areas, working with people who have barriers barriers to employment. So it can be prison to employment. It can be special needs like autism and things like that. I'm using the camera time to create for next year.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's one of the big things that I want to create within workforce is businesses using special populations to grow their businesses, creating
Mm,
jobs for people who have barriers to employment.
I love it. I
Win-win
love it.
possibilities.
I love it. And I'm here to help whenever
That's
whenever you
awesome.
need.
Okay, so take it
So,
away. What do
all
you
right.
have for
Well,
us?
this doesn't look like much. I can see it. This is just a little wallet. See this little itty
Yeah.
bitty wallet. So this wallet ended up changing everything for me. Changing the way that I view New Year's resolutions. Changing the way that I view myself. The biggest eye-opening experience I've ever had, um, as far as my life and my goals are concerned. So every year, what I would do is I would get out a piece of paper and I'd write out my goals for the new year, the things I wanted to accomplish.
Yep.
And those things would be, um, for instance, I'd say these are my parenting goals. These are the goals I want to do with my son. These are the goals I want to do with my career. These are the goals, my financial goals, that I want to accomplish. And then I'd write
I'm
them all down on a
familiar.
piece of paper. And then I'd fold it up and I'd put it in my wallet. And I had a much bigger wallet at the time. And that's it. I just put it in my wallet and I'd have it for the year. And here's what was funny was my buddy, as a late Christmas present, said, "Hey, I saw this wallet. I thought you might like it. I got it for you. it's small, so it doesn't have a lot of stuff. I know you have a lot of stuff in your wallet. I said, oh, thanks. And I had to take out all of my stuff from my other wallet and put it into this wallet. As I'm doing that, a piece of paper falls on the floor.
Yeah.
And my buddy picks it up and he goes, oh, what's this? I said, oh, those are my goals. I write goals every year. And I said, those are my goals for the new year. Now, this was going into 2019. So I had written my goals for 2019. And he looks at it and he says, this says 2015 on it. And I looked and I was like, no, that can't be. These are all the goals I just wrote down. And I looked and the date was 2015. And then I found 4 other pieces of paper in the same wallet.
Cool.
And they all had the exact same goals on them.
Over and over and unaccomplished?
It was 2016. It was 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. It was almost like they were carbon copies of one another.
Wow.
It was all the same parenting goals, all the same business goals, all the same personal goals. And what's funny is I realized what I've been doing was just writing down the things I would like to happen or what I would like to do. And just writing them down I thought was good enough. And I'd put it in my wallet and I'd move on with life. And then a year would go by and I'd go, oh,
you weren't checking them off your list.
I wasn't taking them off the list. So what I realized, that was so eye-opening to me, that in 2019, what I said is okay, it's no longer about making the list. It's about taking something off of the list. And so the first thing that I said was, all right, first thing I have on there that I've been saying I'm going to do is start a YouTube channel. It's happening. I'm not allowed to do anything else on this list until I start a YouTube channel. So I did that. And then, the next thing was I have a YouTube channel. I need to market it. Well, I'm going to start marketing it doing stand-up. And I looked, part of that list was stand-up comedy. And I marked that off the list. And so now my question, what I write down, and I was looking for the actual piece of paper, but I couldn't grab it in time. Instead of it saying goals for 2020 or 2021, what I wrote down is shit I keep saying I'm going to do and haven't. And that's my new list, is things I keep saying over and over and over that I'm going to do
that I haven't done.
And then it's a matter of, all right, I'm picking one to commit to just take off the list.
So if you don't mind, I want to piggyback on this because I do have like the MBA is like the bucket list. I'm waffling if I want to say I want to do it or not.
Yeah.
But like volunteering with SCORE, that was one of those things that was, well, why put it on the list for a future date? If I really want to do it, just commit and make it happen now.
Right.
So I did for 2020, I created for the beginning of the year, and I wish I had it in hands. I don't think I have it to show you. But then I have daily generating calls. Oh yeah. And we create monthly also. And so I've already gone through over the year. I've been going through and I've been putting big check marks. Awesome. And it's pretty crazy exciting. Like some of them you forget. And it's like, oh, let me see if I actually can. So it's just a notebook that I keep in my wallet if anybody wants to copy my ideas. And you can see like I create for will it even go into focus?
Yeah, there it is. Right
handwritten. There. And I do compartmentalize, what am I doing? But it says things like kick off a business work series. And then I do that right then and there. So I've already gone through 2020 and pretty crazy to be able to put big check marks like, yep, that's done. And so when I create for the next month, then it's like, well, what's not done? Do I actually want to do that or not?
Right.
And that's what I decide in that month, is so that I'm checking off the list as we go.
Right.
And some things that not this year, but last year, because we rented in February, but 2019 was buy a beach house. So some things seem like they're really big, unrealistic, crazy, wild goals. And they do come true. They do get fulfilled.
Right. Well, this is so I used to tell that story about the wallet when I was working in jail. and
Yeah.
and we came up with something. We came up with an equation in the jails, and the guys that I worked with in the jails helped me to create this equation. It's what we realized, and this is what I'd like to leave everyone with is, we talked about the difference between dreams, goals, and hopes. You hear that a lot. Hopes, dreams, goals. I hope to do this. I dream to do this. I did, So what a hope is, the definition we use for hope is, a hope is an imagined best case scenario. That's what a hope is. A hope is imagining the absolute best situation. That's hope. Now, a dream is hope minus action. So that's why you can have your dreams in your least active state, which is sleeping. You have this imagined best case scenario, but you're not doing anything to accomplish it. So it's just a dream. It's just this.
But it's a dream with heightened emotion. You know, in your dream, why it's so, like, we wake up and we think we want to make a movie is because we're having, there's a more chemical response for heightened emotions in our dreams. So that's interesting. Okay.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So we have, a hope. A dream is a hope without action. A goal is hope plus action. So a goal is, hey, I have this
dream plus action, right? Why not hope and dream?
Well, what it is so hope is the imagined best case scenario.
Got it.
Now, if you're not going to do anything about it, then it's just going to be a dream. It's just going to be kind of floating around in your head. But if you're going to do something about it, then that becomes a goal. You say, hey, I have this best case scenario in my brain. I have this idea I want to do. Now I've got to take action steps to make it happen. So a lot of people say I have goals, but what they really mean is I have dreams, because they're not literally doing anything to make it happen.
Right.
And so that right there is the biggest. So if there's a cinnamon challenge for the new year, what I would say is I would take whatever it is that imagined best case scenario for anybody, and I would put action steps towards it. That's the challenge, is to actually take action. Because to use your example, this MBA that's floating around in your head, best case scenario is that you sign up and that you do it and that you get it. But until you actually sign up and start taking classes,
there's no intention. That's a maybe someday.
It's just a dream.
Right.
It's just a dream. But the dogs love it, because I'm getting rave reviews from the dogs right now.
Yeah. Thanks for talking while I have dogs going crazy barking here. So you got it from Dominic. That's your cinnamon challenge. Happy New Year from both of us. Thank you for creating those amazing goals with actions to make them happen, because the whole world benefits from your actions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love. Peace out.